All right, ladies and gentlemen, what's going on? This is your boy Dave. Welcome to another edition of the Third Intermission Podcast. Of course, follow us on the socials at Toronto Third and subscribe to us wherever you get your podcast from. Google, iHeartRadio, Apple, Spotify, our friends at Podbean. And of course, follow us and subscribe to us on YouTube. Make sure you hit that bell because we'll be hitting you with new videos every week. We're just going to jump right into it. Of course, with the fallout of John Chayka being named the next general manager of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Um, a lot of us are reasonably pissed off right now. Um, Probably not Avery so much, considering he's in Edmonton right now, and homeboy's an Oilers fan. So we're gonna cut him some slack here. Um,
I'm not a fan. I'm media, so to me, I'm different. But I have
yeah,
thoughts though.
okay, fair. Of course, Avery in the cut, Marsha in the cut, Jason in the cut. Troy will be joining us actually just now. But of course, we're gonna try and keep our opinions to a minimum this evening. Um, a lot of us do want to shoot off certain things, and I think we need to try and keep it as well, not as humble, but as low key as we can, because obviously I gotta say some stuff, and yet still I might set off a nuclear reaction here. So I ain't trying to do that. As much as we all know, I'm very unhinged, and I'm very unhinged. Um, we're gonna control some of that tonight. Um, I do have some thoughts though, and I think the panel here would like to probably jump in when I say this, but the state of Toronto hockey right now, well, let's just say Toronto men's hockey, preferably the Toronto Maple Leafs hockey club, is in complete and utter disarray. And I don't think there's any other sweeter words. There's any other words to sweeten the deal or just sugarcoat everything. Let's be blunt with what's happening here. This hockey team is absolute shit. And I'm sorry to say this. As a fan for like 30 years, there have been fans who have been with this team since the 70s, the 80s, the 90s. Like, I've been a fan since 1991. The sheer fact that we have gone out of our way to essentially desecrate what we've done since 1967 and I guess create a sense of war profiteering, so to speak, with jersey sales, ticket sales, all the merchandise and the apparel that comes out, all the advertising, all of the so-called signings, the so-called stars that we have. Harold Ballard being an ass clown. I mean, I hope he gets, but like the list could go on and on and on with this team. And the fact that we have been so mediocre that like we are getting joked at, we are getting roasted by collectively every single orifice of sports media in North America and around the world. And the fact that we now have to bring one of our captains back as a special advisor for hockey operations just to placate an ego where say the CEO of the company likes to use Chat GPT to just create trades and think he's doing a great job when he's not necessarily doing a great job right now. It is a complete and utter disaster. And I, for one, as a fan, like I just feel horrified knowing that there are people that have to go into work and have to deal with the fact that fans are so pissed off at them for things being overpriced, experiences now having to be charged like out of the wazoo. For example, why is it that why is it that an Atom player or like under the age of like say I don't know 10, why in the fuck does he have to pay $1,000 just to skate on the ice with a flag in his hand? When that used to be a privilege. Why is it that players have to pay for their parents, you know, when there was an honor tradition and that was basically thrown out the window because of cost cutting measures? Why is it that we're okay with this as a fan base? The fact that our minor hockey team has won a championship prior to our major hockey team actually even barely getting past the second round. And the only GM that actually gave a damn was shipped out because the president was jealous. And now he's gone. We had someone who ran a whole bunch of Boston pizzas into the ground as our GM. And I wasn't okay with the signing because we all knew what his track record was in Calgary. Couldn't even get us to, like, barely got us to a second round. And then he was thrown out the door. And now we have someone who was essentially suspended for trying to bribe his way to get some draft picks. And he owns a goddamn bunch of Wendy's. Like, I don't need a GM who's a baconator and a baconator and frosty factory. I need someone who actually knows what the hell they're doing when it comes to hockey. And I know these comments are probably going to get me in trouble, but at this rate, like, you can't sugarcoat any of this anymore. Like, the team is terrible. The front office is like, I don't know what's going on right now. Apparently, people are leaving. People might be staying, but they're just rolling with the punches and just saying like, "Oh, it's okay. We can just keep going. We can just keep taking it." The fan base is pissed off. The media keeps trying to paint a picture saying like, "Oh, everything's all daisies and everything." It's a post-apocalyptic world where practically every single hockey team has basically progressed, and we're just basically the dumpster fire that it is in the NHL. I don't know what else to do. I don't know what else to say. But I'm gonna open this up to all of y'all because, like, I know some of y'all have some things to say. So please go right ahead. Jason, Marsha, Troy, Avery, any of y'all can just start because if I keep going, like, I know certain things are gonna get me in trouble. So please go ahead, one of y'all. Ugh.
Marsha, if you want to take the floor, Marsha, you can, or Avery, Troy.
I'll jump in. Looking at this team right now and looking at who they brought in to be a part of the front office, John Chayka, someone who was out of hockey for the past 5 years. You talk to a lot of people who've been around the game, even other reporters who covered him when he was in Arizona. People don't have many good things to say about John Chayka right now. And Keith Pelly's search, I'm a little bit suspect of because this is the guy this is how you come down to got your next GM, a guy who hasn't been in the game for 5 years. To me, it's a little strange of a hire. It's very odd. I mean, I don't mind bringing Matt Sundin to be an advisor. I think that's someone who can give a good overview of what this team wants to do, where it wants to go. But Chayka is a very strange move for a guy who left hockey, was suspended, first of all, for what happened with Arizona, quit before the postseason in the 2020 playoffs. So it's, again, it's a very odd move, and people have described Chayka, certain circles, as a con man, as an odd hire. I mean, we saw what Steve Simmons said, and for the record, that was, to me, in my mind, right-ish message, wrong messenger. Wrong messenger indeed, because no, Steve Simmons is no hero. Steve Simmons to me is no hero in terms of how he's conducted himself in the past when it comes to articles on certain players, with what he said to Masai Ujiri about gun violence, with what he said to Kayla Gray, which I don't know if he's apologized for that comment yet. I don't know if he has or not, but he's not a hero. And there's a way to go about asking that question, and there's a way to be blunt with the GM, but Simmons is not a hero in my mind. He's not a hero for what he did or for what he tried to do. I mean, yes, you want to be honest, but so I'll just say it's a strange hire, and if things don't turn around next year or the year afterwards, it's going to be a really weird time in Toronto because you essentially have gambled the rest of the Nylander and Matthews era on a guy who hasn't been in the game for 5 years and a guy who I don't think many people in hockey, in terms of other GMs, other people, respect right now because I applaud him coming back. You know, he's still young. Chick is only 36 years old. He's still young for hockey terms. But people in hockey, rightfully or wrongfully, can be very vindictive, very petty, and at times for the wrong reasons. To be quite frank, these GMs and hockey should be more petty to Joel Quenville and Stan Bowman, we all know why. We all know why they should catch more heat than John Chayka. But that's a different topic for a different day. Point being, things might be harder for Chayka as a GM because other teams straight up don't like the guy. So they might make trades harder for him to do. They might make deals harder for him to conduct because they straight up don't like how Chayka left hockey and how he left the Coyotes and how he handled things. So from that standpoint, for Keith Pelly, it is a strange hire in a critical era of Maple Leafs hockey.
All right, so I'll go next. So somewhere in there, there's definitely a put the fries in the bag joke waiting to happen. Um, I too think it's absolutely strange that the two names that they picked pretty much out of a hat was Chayka and Sundin. Um, you guys have already spoke at length about Chayka's track record and how not positive it is to say it in a polite way without using a whole bunch of cuss words. The Sundin hire is also head scratching to say the least. Sundin's last game as a Maple Leaf was 18 years ago on April 5th.
Mhm.
He's been away from the game for 18 years, you know, because he retired later that year, I think, or the year after. But still, he's been gone long enough where people were able to have kids, graduate, and now make the NHL. Um, for someone who hasn't done anything in terms of, at least that we know of, in terms of management experience within hockey, it definitely is a strange hire. Um, Again, mostly because like he's been away for so long. Um, I don't like what's happening with the upper management part, like Keith Pelly and his people. It definitely sounds like you know Mr. Rogers is pulling some strings here. Um, there's there's definite signs that nobody knows what they're doing anymore. Um, Chayka said changes are coming more or less, and they're going to listen to what Austin Matthews wants and try to facilitate his request more or less. But as Avery pointed out, because he is as disliked as when you pull out the barbecue and it immediately starts raining. Um, it's going to be difficult to improve this team. Like nobody's going to want to make a fair deal with him. Um, they're basically going to treat him like he's tree living. They're they're going to fleece, rob, and steal everything they can while giving him, you know, the bottom of the bag, like the crumbs, like the the shake, if you will. I, I just don't get it. Nobody with any kind of sense in their brain gets it. This decision feels rushed, considering like the draft is still a couple of weeks away. Um,
I'd say the draft lottery is like literally tomorrow. The draft would
the
be
lottery's tomorrow, but like the draft itself, doesn't that happen like as soon as the Stanley Cup final is done?
yeah. That would probably be more than likely the end of June.
Yeah, so that's still a ways away where they still had time to call it as it is, make a better choice. Um,
I would have gone with Haley
I
Wickenheiser, to be fair.
Yeah, like I don't like the idea of having somebody running trade ideas through artificial intelligence. That defeats the purpose of having scouts. What are you paying these guys for then? What are you paying the scouts for? Like, this isn't 2K. This is real
For
life.
real.
What are you doing? Yeah, like I'm with y'all. Like I don't get it. The logic just isn't there. The whole Steve Simmons thing. Um, Avery said right message, wrong messenger. Um, I'm gonna disagree with that. I think there's no better person than to have the biggest idiot in the room blurt out such a blatant question that everybody's thinking because nobody was gonna ask it. Everybody, so because Rogers basically owns everything that's all tied to their jobs, they don't want to say anything. Steve Simmons, he's just like, screw it, I'll ask it. I want to know. Somebody else got to be thinking it. Why not have the guy ask it? Somebody's got to do it. Why not him? I mean, yes, I definitely agree that his reporting tactics are definitely not the best methods.
I'd say
But I think
call it suspect.
I think him asking that question, what like I think it couldn't have come from a better person.
Mm-hmm. Marsha, what would you like to add?
I don't know. I feel it's a hockey discipline. I, he probably has short man syndrome. Like he needs to grow up, quite frankly, and recognize that he doesn't run the Toronto Maple Leafs. That he actually runs MLSE. And yes,
Mm-hmm.
I know Maple Leafs is in the name of the organization that he's president and CEO of, but that doesn't mean that he has a say in running the team. That's the first thing.
Mm-hmm.
Put that in Pelly's page. But um, apart from that, I do feel like we need to give like take a 10-foot pole and like let him try. Because a lot of the things that he's done terrible at were like 8 years ago, 6 to 8 years ago. Maybe he's grown as a person. Maybe he's studied or whatever. I don't know. But there's something about the fact that everyone like hating the fact that everyone hates the decision. Like maybe it's gonna be some weird reverse psychology that the team needs to pull them out of something. Maybe it's not gonna be long term. Maybe it's gonna be the bridge GM that we need to get the real GM that we need. I don't know. I'm doing some like weird Etsy which type of analyzing of this hiring. Like the Leafs are in a really wacko position, so maybe we need like a really weird wacko hiring to get us to where we need to be. But you know what? It's not Brad Treliving, so I can't be mad. I really can't. I can't be mad. Um, there are things like he hasn't done anything yet. So the only thing that I can be mad at is the fact that Keith Kelly was the person that hired him. So when he does things, then I will have reason to be angry. Um, for the fact that I know that he's not running the draft, I can't be mad at him about the draft. When we start making moves with our players, whether Berube is fired or he goes way too long into the season, those are things that I can be mad at him about. Um, whatever else happens with our front office, those are things that I can be mad at him about. But even then, I really don't know if I can be mad at him about them because
Mm-hmm.
his title is General Manager Hockey Operations. What the heck is that? Someone, Rosie from the Toronto Star, bless her soul, because she started off her question with, I'm confused. What is the actual structure here? who reports to who, and uh how does that go in reporting to you, Keith? Can you explain the structure? Can you explain everyone's titles? And it was like a half-ass answer, and it ended with, I don't even think Matt Sundin knew what title he was signing to until he saw his contract a couple days ago. And and Chayka's official title is General Manager Hockey Operations. So what does that mean? And where do you fit into the structure? Because that still didn't answer the question. And everyone thinks that you have your foot in business that you have no business having your foot in. Take off the blue glasses. I really don't like that he has a different color pair of glasses for each team he's talking about. It was cute at first, and now I don't like it. But it's like I'm not trying to get myself stressed here. I'm waiting. I'm waiting until there's something to be angry about, to be angry. And the thing that I'm angry about right now is the fact that Keith Pelly is still employed with this organization, and that the unfortunate thing is that Ed Rogers was the one that became the Rogers that is responsible in MLSE. He was the most hated child from his father. And I like, my friend's mom knew the family, and she could tell me that with her heart and soul. So, like, those are the two things that I'm angry about right now.
Listen, listen. Ed Rogers is everyone's friendly neighborhood dumbass at this point, so there's not much more we can do about that.
You know what, Marsha? You made a good point, Marsha, in terms of that the Sundin and Chayka thing, because officially, we don't know what the level is of Matt Sundin. He's the senior advisor. He's not the president of hockey. He's not the president of hockey ops. He's not the VP hockey ops. He's the senior advisor. And yeah, you're right. It wasn't clear in terms of, doesn't mean he's above Chayka. Doesn't mean Chayka's above him. That
Yeah.
wasn't cleared up, and that to me should have been defined definitively in terms of who is higher than who, because you both can't be the same level.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like it sounded like Pelly said that Sundin kind of, sort of, technically on paper reports to Chayka, but it's gonna be an equal conversationalist, opinion-based ground, but kind of sort of technically reports to the GM, but they're equal. Like, what does that mean?
See, you're already in trouble right there. You're already in trouble. You
You
can't
know?
have equals. Someone has to be able to overrule someone.
Yeah.
Exactly.
One of somebody's got to be the adults in the room, and I think right now they just keep playing rock paper scissors, and everybody just keeps losing.
Yeah.
They keep tying somehow.
Essentially,
Yeah.
like the thing that drives me nuts about this is that it's the rush. It's the rush. It's the rush job that the Leafs have done in order to be able to have this hiring when you could literally take another week to make like a solid decision here.
Is it a rush job?
It feels like a rush job at this point because
Because the draft lottery's tomorrow.
no, I get that, but here's the problem, right? Here's the genuine problem. You had solid hiring, you had solid talent in this particular bumper crop of like say unemployed managers or what have you, or assistant GMs. And the fact that you went with someone who was essentially suspended from hockey and then just got reinstated recently, that still boggles my mind to this very moment. Because essentially to me, that shows a lack of care and a lack of empathy from not only Pelly's standpoint, but also from Emily's standpoint, MLSC standpoint as a whole, right? Because to me, it feels like the writing's on the wall here. Like Rogers wants to just blow up everything and reform it in their own image, kind of like they did with the Blue Jays for how long. and it took them almost what 30 years to get back to the World Series, and now they're like, oh well, we want to invest in the Blue Jays. I feel like that's the same blueprint for the Leafs right now, and maybe even the Raptors. I don't know, but like you can't sit here, and I'm not saying you, Marsha. Like I like just
Yeah.
I want to say this first and foremost, but just objectively speaking, you cannot sit here and say that this was the best candidate for the job, and then go ahead and hire, say, someone else and give them what feels like the exact same title, and there's no adult in the room, and it feels like the only adult in the room is the guy who wants to go on Chat GPT and do our whole draft situation or a whole trade situation because he doesn't have a fucking clue.
Well, to be fair, he did deny that. But I raise you this because I feel like the extended scrutiny, while yes, he was suspended and yes, he did things that are not of the caliber of an NHL GM. He was 26. Do we put that at the same level of Stan Bowman and Joel Quenneville? Because look at the welcome back that they got. People said, welcome to the league. They got a welcome to the league. No one in that room said, hi, John, welcome to Toronto. Here's my question. No one in that whole press conference.
Yeah, well, you know why that is though, Marshall. Like that question, we all know the answer to. You know what I mean? And it's like in hockey, they have favorites, and they feel like those particular gentlemen that you mentioned did no wrong, but we know they did wrong. So of course they're gonna roll out the red carpet for those guys. But even though this GM that we have, he quit on his team. He did some backdoor tactics with some prospects and things of that nature. No one addressed him because the nonsense that our GM didn't compare to the nonsense that those other two gentlemen did that you mentioned, Marshall. So hockey, what I'm seeing about this thing is just there's just differences between who and who. One person can, let's say, go down the road and punch somebody in the face, or two people can go down the road and punch somebody in the face and not face no consequence. But a guy could go do the same thing and will face all the consequences. And this is the situation we're in Toronto right now, point blank.
Because then you're so right. Because then the next thing that I'm gonna come and say is, why is no one coming after Kelly McCrimmon? Where's the investigation of whatever you call why can't I think of the stupid word? Mitch Marner. Why is Paul Marner in Vegas last year looking at houses in Vegas with his family a year before the man's contract is up? Uh, who's
No,
talking to Kelly McCrimmon?
that's a very fair question, and I think that also needs to be raised as well because essentially speaking, wouldn't that be considered? No, that wouldn't be considered tampering.
Was tampering. That's the word I was looking for.
It is tampering, 100% tampering. And I think, Marshall, to answer your question, the reason why it wasn't
Allegedly.
investigated is allegedly. Yeah, allegedly. I forgot. But yeah, the reason why it wasn't brought up to a point where it had to be investigated for tampering, and the reason why that happened in that order like that is because Marner's seen management. You don't think Paul Marner knew what management was dealing with? You got to look at it from both sides of the coin. I'm pretty sure Paul Marner was looking inside and saying, yo, I don't want this. You know what? I'm not going to renegotiate anything. We're out of here. Let's start looking at houses in Vegas. And then it came out that Marner was talking to Ryan Reeves and Max Pacioretty about Vegas. All of a sudden, out of the blue. Marner, listen, Marner to me will always be Marner, but I don't respect him for my personal reasons, but he was smart in the way he got out of this mess. Because now Matthews, Nyes, Nylander is stuck in this shitstorm that we have in Toronto right now.
all that to say, all that to say, the level, I think scrutiny is deserved, 100%, because anyone that comes here to this organization needs to be able to make some sort of change so that we can get to our ultimate goal of winning a Stanley Cup. And that was said in the press conference today. But the level of scrutiny, guys, come on. Let's take 20,000 steps back. Like, yeah, the man was running Wendy's, but he has hockey experience. He created like established, like he is innovation. He is the smarts that we were looking for. He is Kyle Dubas 2.0. Like, we could have just kept Kyle Dubas, but he is Kyle Dubas 2.0, which is essentially what they were looking for. So let him play it out, let him do his thing. Let's build some respect for the man that is in this position. And if and when he messes up, then the scrutiny can get worse. But like, let's give the man an opportunity to do what he was hired to do before like folks kind of like throw him to the dogs. Because
That's a
like
fair quote. No, sorry,
yeah.
Marsha. Keep going.
No. No. That's it. That's what I was saying. One
And
chance.
yeah, I was just gonna say that like that's a fair point. I get what you're saying, but my thing as a fan with this guy is that this guy, like what Avery said in the beginning when he went first, was talking about how this guy left his team. Like, how do you leave your team, bro? Like, how do you walk away from your team like that?
Yo,
Despite what's going on, you're
that's what
supposed
had
to.
me confused.
This is
No,
the
one
thing.
hundred
Like,
percent.
I I I don't want a guy that's responsible for Nyes, Nylander, and the rest of the core that we have there, or what's left of the core. And this guy has a track record for walking out. This is why I'm upset as a fan, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
questioning myself as a Leaf fan because basically this guy that all he cares about is matching his glasses with his outfit decides to hire a guy who's been away from the sport for how many years? You know what I'm saying? And only to come to find out that not only did this guy tamper with the prospects, like I mentioned, quit on his team, but has no clue of what's going on in today's NHL because of the simple fact that he's been away from the game for so long. And then if you look at Brandon Pridham and all these other guys in that prospect pool, like Dave mentioned, of guys that are not GMs but are adequate enough to actually hold that role in Toronto, it's like
They
this guy with
apply,
his they applied, but like this guy didn't even like care to look at them. And like, what do you?
but did
I don't know,
they?
March. I don't know, March.
But here's the next thing. Here's the next thing to think about. Because when all of this was happening, we have to go back to the science here. When this guy was in Arizona,
Mhm.
his prefrontal cortex was not fully developed. End the sentence there. That's what I'm gonna put all of this nonsense up to. He did his nonsense with the backdoor stuff, and then he realized he messed up and he didn't know what to do. So he said, I'm checked out, I'm leaving, I'm walked out the door. Think of yourself at 26 and you're in a relationship or you're with friends and you messed up really bad and you don't know how to fix it. What'd you do? You walked away. You ran. You didn't know what to do. You didn't know who was going to help you fix it because you're the person in charge of you. You're going to run. You're going to shut down. Who's here to help you? Especially being in Arizona in a situation where you don't have an arena. You're supposed to be the one to try to figure out how to get yourself to be solidified and stay in Arizona when the state doesn't want to help you, the city doesn't want to help you, the league doesn't want to help you, and you don't have a developed prefrontal cortex. Put him a little bit. Just a little. Not a lot. Because it was stupid. I was mad at him. I was very, very mad at him at the time. Very, very mad. Because as you said, who does that? Who just leaves their people high and dry?
Mm-hmm.
Because you're in a position of power. You are the leader. You need to be there for your people, no matter what is going on. You're supposed to have your people there for you to support you. That's how you build your staff around you. But all of those things considered, and that is his first big shot thing in the world of hockey. That I think is just the empathy in me. Like, I get why it happened the way that it happened with all of those things going on. I remember one of the first things, like me saying, especially about the arena situation, was why isn't the NHL doing more to help the Coyotes figure out the arena situation? Because they're just sitting on so many different things. It's like they want the Coyotes to fail, and fail they did. So him as a GM knowing that the league doesn't care about you and the league doesn't want to see you succeed, of course you're just gonna give up.
I can't say in all honesty that I disagree with you, because it would be wrong of me to even say that at this rate there's anything to disagree with. So, Marcia, thank you for putting everything in perspective. I will say this, and just to keep it at somewhat unhinged, Martin Lawrence said it best back in 2001 when Bad Boys 2 came out. I'm going to give him a chance to whoop his ass. That's all I'm going to say in this situation.
Oh my god.
All stupidity aside, I'm not so sure what to do about John Chayka right now. I mean, yes, he's coming back into the league and he's going to try and quote unquote right the ship in this situation. Mind you, this hockey team is basically a rocket that is going off into space, going past Pluto, and not figuring out where the hell it's going. And it needs to come back to Earth and figure out what it needs to do before it takes off again and try and goes to win another championship. Yes, this analogy is stupid. I don't care. What I'm going to say, in addition to that, is I'm not sure if Chayka is the right guy for this, right? We had this conversation outside of episodes like for weeks, and I've been saying this for a long time. Brad Treliving was not the guy to run the Toronto Maple Leafs hockey club, and evidently so. Look at what ended up happening. Treliving had a bad track record. In fact, like what he basically he traded for Huberdeau and sold off Kachuk. And Kachuk now has 2 Stanley Cups. And Huberdeau is like basically an afterthought in the NHL right now, which is extremely sad. He picked up Milan Lucic from Boston for, I barely even remember what it was, but essentially he gutted Calgary to the point where it was like they weren't doing much. Like, sure, they had a good few playoff appearances and everything, but like that team was dismantled to the point where they're still recovering right now. And now Treliving has done the exact same thing to the Leafs, and he's now out the door. And we basically get a Baconator. We get a guy who owns a bunch of Baconator and Frosty factories as a GM. Again, given his track record right now, I'm scared to see what's going to happen with this hockey team come October, let alone the draft. If we somehow manage to get first in the draft lottery this year, I am frightened to see what happens when Gavin McKenna comes here. If he pulls a Lindros and says, like, I refuse to come to Toronto, I would not genuinely blame him. You know? Like, given the history of how the Leafs have been trying to get through everything within the last 10 to 15 years, it's insane. I mean, we were already pissed off enough as it was with John Ferguson Jr. from basically imploding the team to hell. He's an assistant general manager now somewhere else, but like, still, that man was an ass clown. And look what ended up happening. We had 10 solid years where we didn't have a playoff. We didn't have a playoff appearance. In comes Fletcher, and next thing you know, it's like, oh my God, there's an adult in the room. And the Leafs end up making the playoffs, albeit a shortened season, but still, Leafs made the playoffs. We had Brian Burke. Brian Burke was actually a decent GM, although some of you may argue against that. Tried to put toughness into the team. Unfortunately, it didn't pan out. He was given the boot. We've had so many coaches. We've had Paul Maurice, who has now actually won 2 Stanley Cups. He was a decent coach. We gave him the boot. We had Randy Carlyle. We had Ron Wilson. I don't know who replaced Ron Wilson, but like I can barely remember his name. It was like Peter Horacek or something like that. What the hell is he doing now? I don't know. We had Sheldon Keefe, the only guy who was essentially, well, until Craig Berube came by, he was essentially the only coach that actually got the Leafs somewhere within the last 30 to 40 years. And that's saying a lot. Like, you had legendary coaches in Pat Quinn and Pat Burns, or sorry, you had late greats in Pat Burns and Pat Quinn as coaches. And it has been insanely difficult to replicate any of that magic with either of those coaches, with any of today's coaches, because they know for a fact that, like, if you were to put a John Cooper in the situation, it would be a massive dumpster fire. He'd probably leave after like what, 1 year, because he knows this place is a dumpster fire, and there's no way to fix that because there's so much micromanaging and just outright insanity that we're not doing anything properly. We had a great GM in Kyle Dubas, who was, albeit young, but he got the job done. And yet we had a president who was upset about the fact that he wanted something a little bit more. And so he basically shipped him out the door. Now look at this whole situation. No, I feel like nobody wants to come here because of the circus that we're dealing with right now. Can you blame them?
See, no, and you see all these names that you've mentioned that have walked. It's a testament to show how the machine works. They they like good ideas, not great ideas. All these names had great ideas. They didn't like them because they didn't think of them. That's how we ended up where we are. I do very much agree with Marcia, where just like it's we don't have a choice. It's a wait and see approach. He's hired. There's nothing that we can do about it right now as a fan base. All we can do is sit here and hope that somebody somewhere, has, even like an iota of sense when it comes to how to restructure this team and make this an attractive destination. We need somebody in the front office who can tune out Pelly and Rogers to a degree, but with the way that this regime set up, it's going to be next to impossible. In terms of how we should approach things as a fan base, with bated breath. We're going to scrutinize and put every move he does under a microscope. We're going to be picking it apart for weeks to come. But I think the real work comes July 1st. Because you have to figure, like, that's what. You could say earlier than that, but generally free agency is where you can officially do things. Because I mean, like, yes, they say like at the end of once the Stanley Cup Finals complete, the season is considered finished, and then you can start making plans or whatever. But July 1st, ideally, is the date where you can make things official, just simply because it's the start of free agency, right? And you may or may not have something in place, but you want to get the jump on people and say, this XYZ is staying in, ABC or whatever the case is. But yeah, I think for me, it's what he does on July 1st and going forward. Um, I'm not holding my breath at all. And my expectations right now are very low. Simply because, as we've all beaten to death already for the last 30 minutes or so, like the there's not enough experience there for us. Um, he's quit on a team before, like there's that thought process where he might do it again here, simply because he's in a bigger hockey market, right? Like Arizona's not much, but Toronto is, the supposed center of the hockey universe. And bright lights, beef jerky, he might fold. Who knows? Um, but like everybody else, we're just gonna have to wait and see. And you know, hopefully, somebody in the media will be like, "Hey, if things start going south, call it out." Whether it's Steve Simmons or somebody else, somebody's gonna have some balls and start holding people to account because they know they won't listen to us fans. So somebody out there's got to be able to really ask them the tough questions and not worry about losing their job.
Jason, I know you've been holding on to this for all evening. What would you like to say?
Oh, I don't really got much to say because you guys covered it already. But just to piggyback off Troy here, you know what I'm saying is like, yeah, July 1st is where it starts. We need like two puck moving defensemen and a top six forward. If he's able to sign those three type of players for us, and they're not like 45 years old on the verge of retirement, and they could actually fit the mold and help the team, then yeah, I'm just gonna, like what Marsha said, I'm just gonna watch from the outside. I'm not impressed, but it all starts July 1st. We gotta survive the balls tomorrow, which I highly doubt. It would be nice to survive the balls and we keep our fifth round pick, but the numbers don't lie, and I don't know if we're gonna be able to keep our pick at number 5 or even move up all the way to number 1. I don't foresee that happening, but if we somehow land fifth and Leach is able to, deliver on the draft with that fifth round overall pick, you know what I'm saying? And then this guy comes in and he gets us a Radish or a Hamilton type puck moving defenseman, and he's able to swindle another one and then get us a top six forward to put in the mix with the current roster that we have with the youth and the minors. You know what I'm saying? And then, you know, try and figure out what you're doing with your goaltending situation, and you're able to play Tavares as a 3C, then I'll judge it based off of that. But if I don't see that July 1st, I'm not really going to be optimistic. And this whole situation is unfortunate, but it's just the pain of being a Maple Leafs fan. Like, I mean, how many years did we sit through and we weren't able to get through round one? And then that time finally came where we beat Tampa Bay. Tavares scored the goal, and we went through to the second round. We got obliterated, but at the end of that season, I was feeling confident. I don't know how you guys are feeling, but I personally was feeling confident just knowing that, hey, we did it. We have guys that it's the right mix of old and youth. Like, these current teams in the NHL playoffs, like, you're seeing old but a lot of youth. You know what I mean? And those teams that have that right mix, that right combination, that right blend are having success. The Montreals, the Buffaloes, the Phillies. You know what I mean? These guys are having the success. The Minnesota Wild. These guys are having success, even though they got rocked last night. But that was a great game. But that we'll talk about that later. But
Mm.
ideally, how do I feel? I gotta wait till July 1st, bro, to tell you how I really feel. Me personally, I'm trying to take in what Marsha said. Don't judge. You know what I'm saying? Just watch and see. But then like just the part that this guy walked out on his team, I understand small market Arizona not getting help from the league and all. I understand all that, but at the end of the day, like if we're all fighting, I'm not gonna leave you guys to fight. I'm gonna fight with you guys because you guys are my comrades. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna fight with you guys. I'm not gonna walk out the fight and leave you guys fighting. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna do that. I'm not built like that. And this guy has that in his character. That's embedded in his DNA because he did it. I know you're young, you go off impulse and emotion, but there are certain things you do, and then there's certain things you don't do. And you walk away from your team when your team needs you, bro. That's one thing you don't do, bro. So I'm not happy with the hire. I'm just gonna sit and watch, but I'm not really impressed, bro. You know what I'm saying?
No, I agree. I agree. Um, oh boy, this is gonna be a bit of a tough pill to swallow right now. Um, as much as I would like to come after you for the survive the balls joke, um, I mean there is a joke in there somewhere, but I'm gonna, I'm too wound up with all of this right now to just
Brother, it's facts. We gotta
No,
survive the
no, I
balls,
know, I
bro.
know.
It's
No, no, I
facts.
agree.
It's
I
not like
agree.
I'm trying to joke. It's real life.
No, no, no,
The
I
draft
agree. I
lottery, the
agree.
balls have to go down the thing,
Yo,
and the
stop this.
balls
Pause
have to
right
be in
now.
our favor.
Yo, stop the tape right now.
I'm sorry. No, I know you're being serious, Jason, but oh, I'm sorry.
Oh man.
I
Oh man.
Sorry, Marsha. Sorry.
Yo, this is too much.
Oh my gosh. That was too
Okay.
much.
Yo, this is one of those things where like we get too serious and then somebody says something unhinged just to bring it right
You're the
back.
one that took
Bring it
it like
right back.
that. You're the one that took it like that. I knew it was straight to the lottery. Straight to the lot. Get your mind out the
No, I
gutter.
know, I know, I know, but the joke was right there. I'm sorry. Oh man, I think we all needed that laugh still. It's not as crazy as the last week though. We're telling we're telling our guests like, yo, if he likes white women, come over the border. Like, yo, that's crazy. Anyways,
That was wild, bro. That was wild. That was unhinged. That one last week was wild, bro.
oh, poor Troy. If Troy had actually heard that joke, like, yo, he'd be crying right now, man. Damn. All right. Anyways, really, really quickly, let's go over the current playoff iteration right now. Buffalo and Montreal in round two. I feel like that should have been a conference final. Hurricanes and Flyers. They're currently going into overtime at the time of this recording. Flyers are up 1-0 right now, or is it the Hurricanes up 1-0 right now? I might be screwing up on that. Avery, you can correct me on that really quickly. While an Avalanche, 15 goals.
Hurricanes are up in the series.
The Hurricanes are up on the series. Thank you. Um, Wild and Avalanche, like no pun intended, but imagine being buried by being buried in the amount of goals that were scored yesterday. Like 9 for Colorado and 6 for Minnesota. It was absolutely insane. And like, of course, Colorado has never beaten this team in the playoffs. So ideally speaking, this is going to be very interesting. And then, of course,
Wait, and then there's a snowstorm in Colorado tomorrow.
that's crazy.
Wild,
Colorado had
if
as
you
many
will.
goals. Colorado had as many goals as Montreal had shots.
That's also
Wild.
wild. How do you win a hockey game with under 10 shots, 2 goals on 9 shots?
What?
And go shotless in the second period. They didn't have a
I
shot in the
don't
second period.
understand. Hockey's not
That's
real,
messy.
man.
That's
That was a ropa dope. That was a ropa dope, bro. Cause yo, Montreal was getting outplayed in the second period, and then a little bit in the third, and then there was like they had a what, like a minute and some change of offensive zone puck possession, where they were just moving the biscuit around, pack, 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 and they were just dummying Tampa. Tampa was just getting annihilated to where like certain guys on the ice were they were on the ice for like 2 minutes.
They're just
It was bad.
tired.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Montreal played the rope-a-dope with them yesterday, man.
That in itself is crazy. I guess you could say lightning really struck twice for Montreal. Sorry, terrible joke.
Bruh.
This guy. yo, yo.
Sorry. It had. Oh God. Oh God. I'm using dad jokes on the air right now. That's crazy. All right. Anyways, and then of course we have Vegas and Anaheim. These two teams have never faced off against each other, so I'm excited for this matchup. Really quickly, Troy, I'm gonna start with your predictions really quickly before you jump off.
So I think Buffalo is advancing. I think so. Sorry. It's Buffalo, Montreal, right?
Yep.
Okay. I think Buffalo definitely finds a way to pull it off. I
Okay.
think they're due, man. They're due. Um. Let's see who else is left. So you've got Colorado, Minnesota.
Yeah.
Whichever goal he played last night, he let in as many goals as he did in the entire first series against the Kings. I don't know if this is like a weakness exposure or just, everybody having an off game because like they started the second round and the first round technically wasn't done yet.
Yeah.
I don't know if all that threw everybody off, but I think after that first game, I think we'll see like a tighter series there.
Yep.
Carolina, Philadelphia. Um, I think Carolina's more structured. Um, Philadelphia, they've got like lots of young talent. Um, I Dan Vladar can only do so much. He needs some help. And I think that offense it's starting to go dry a little bit. I mean, it might be tied right now going to OT, but I think the edge goes to Carolina here.
Mm.
Who am I missing here? Who's the other West teams?
Anaheim, Vegas.
Anaheim, Vegas. That's an interesting one to watch. You've got Mitch Marner shedding the can't perform in Toronto expectations already. Interesting to see if he can keep that going in the second round. The Ducks are a gritty, scrappy team.
Mm.
Um, they've got a little bit of everything all throughout the lineup, and they're getting tremendous goaltending, believe it or not. A lot of people had written them off at the beginning of the year. Um, and I think teams like that thrive on that because there's no expectations. So it's just free for them to go out and do their thing. And they're turning a lot of heads to say, yo, you know what? This new generation is here. Like that Jackson Lacombe kid. I don't know if that's his first name or not, but the Lacombe kid, he's good. They've got lots of little pieces in there that can make a playoff run very interesting.
Mhm.
I think that series has the potential to go the distance. Who wins? Flip a coin. That is one series where you can definitely flip a coin, and I don't think you'd be I don't think you'd be disappointed either way. But because of the whole Vegas thing this year and how they've gone about their business, uh, Ducks and seven, quack quack.
Could be a repeat of 2003's conference final between Anaheim and Minnesota, maybe. I'd like to see that.
Yeah, that's possible.
All right. Troy, I know you gotta jump off considering your cellular device is about to blow up, so we'll let you go take care of that.
Yeah, don't say that, man. Don't put that in the universe. It's the only phone I have. I've already got a year without glasses. I can't go without a phone.
Yo, man, we gotta get you some upgrades, man. Like real shit. But until that time comes, go charge your phone. We'll talk to you soon, all right?
All right,
All
later.
right.
Good night, guys.
Later, Troy.
Hey, yo, Mint, Freedom Mobile. If you want to get Troy a new phone, help him out.
Yo, help a brother out, man. Like, yo, we need sponsorship still. Um, Avery, Marsha, Jason. Considering all of the other series have started, what are your predictions real quick before we end off the night? Marsha, I'll start with you.
Um, Buffalo, Colorado, Anaheim, Vegas. And Carolina because I love Freddie Anderson.
Okay. Jason.
Well, I'm gonna go with Canada's team, Canada's second team. I'm gonna go with the Buffalo Sabres. No, no, there's no love of Montreal in my body. So Canada's second team, the Buffalo Sabres. Um, yeah, I gotta keep it real, man. No way am I ever cheering for those guys. No way. Buffalo Sabres, baby. You know what? I love the fact that like Buffalo, like when you watch their games and you see them play the Canadian national anthem, the fans in that stadium are singing "Oh Canada" word for word. So me personally, as a fan, I respect that. So I'm definitely Sabres there. I like the Ducks. I really like the Ducks. Lacombe, Bennett, Seneke. They're just younger, faster, aggressive. Um, I don't know. I like the Flyers to upset Carolina. I really do. I like the Flyers to upset Carolina. And this Minnesota Colorado series, like this is where I say they need to go back to like 1 versus 8 because Minnesota and Colorado is a conference caliber type series, not like a second round series at all. Um, it's gonna be tighter, like Troy said. Um, Colorado is the heavyweight in this fight, but you remember Mike Tyson get beat up by Evander Holyfield and Buster Douglas. Right now, Colorado is Mike Tyson. I don't know that game yesterday. Minnesota was down 4. They came back and scored 5. You know what I'm saying? Even though Colorado won, so Minnesota has that punchback. I just don't know. I kind of like the Avs, but Minnesota just has this resilience about them. I don't want to flip a coin. I'm gonna pick a side. I'm gonna say Colorado, guys.
All right. We're gonna go to the right hand of the king himself, aka the Fedora Man, aka Mr. Studio Girl, Avery. What are you saying for round two?
Well, I'm gonna go the opposite of Jason, and I'm gonna say, Le Habitants get it done. The Habs get it done over the Buffalo Sabres.
Ooh, ooh. He's saying this because he's an Oilers fan. That's why. That's
I
why.
ain't saying nah. I believe I believe in Nick Suzuki and Cole Caufield. That's what I believe in.
No, they're playing good, Avery. They're playing good.
I believe
Listen,
in those two.
Nick Suzuki can catch some strays considering how he did at the Olympics this year. But anyways, go on.
Yo, this guy. And then Carolina, Philadelphia. Yeah, I'm not gonna go with the. I'm not gonna ride the wave of Dan Vladar for too much longer. I think Carolina gets that series done. Going to the Western Conference. You know what? We've seen this before. The Avalanche putting up 9 goals on a series. That's the Avalanche easily in that series over Minnesota. And then Vegas, Anaheim. I am gonna go with a team that, you know what? The Anaheim Ducks showed me a lot against Edmonton. I'm going to go with them against Vegas, Anaheim in that series.
All right, and just to round off everything here, um, the hatred I have for everybody in the Atlantic Division outside of Toronto knows no bounds. I hope both teams lose. No, I'm kidding. Um, I want to see Buffalo actually pull this out and get a little revenge. If say it ends up being Buffalo Carolina, um, I want Carolina to lose in the Eastern Conference Finals. So yes, I'm saying Buffalo over Montreal, Carolina over Philly. I do see Carolina winning in 6, though. In the West, I'm kind of hoping that Colorado finally gets over the hump with Minnesota, but if not, uh, I'd say the Wild in 7. And then for Anaheim and Vegas, um, Mitch Marner's done enough. He's won a playoff series. He can keep his ass in the second round. I'm going with Anaheim on that one. So there you go. Anaheim, Minnesota, Buffalo, Carolina. There it is. All right. So, folks, we're going to end things off right here. Obviously, a little bit of animated opinions this evening, so to speak. And obviously, we want to just let y'all know that yes, as much as we are hockey fans, like we do want to say that right now the clown show is really going on in Toronto, and unfortunately, it's another year of the Barnum Brothers circus at 50 Bay Street. But right now, it is what it is. Um, Hopefully, something good comes of it, and if it doesn't, then well, let's just add another ring to the circus at this point because the Stanley Cup ring ain't coming here anytime soon. So, um, yeah, let's just end the episode here and we'll call it a night. Really quickly, though, before we end things off, just to give you an update on things at the time of this recording, the OHL final is looking like Barrie and Kitchener as Brantford blew a 3-1 lead. And so it'll be the Barrie Colts and the Kitchener Rangers in the OHL final leading up to the Memorial Cup. In the WHL, we are looking at Prince Albert and Everett, and we are awaiting a winner in Game 7 between Moncton and Blainville in the QMJHL. Of course, we will keep an eye on the Memorial Cup. Your boy, of course, is going to try and see if he can get his hands on tickets for the OHL final, which is starting on Wednesday. So, for the entire crew here, of course, Avery, Marsha, Jason, and of course our boy Troy, we want to say thank you for letting us grace the space in between your head top. We'll be back with another episode later this week. Like I said, follow us on the socials, subscribe to us wherever you get your podcast from, and make sure you like, follow, and subscribe on YouTube. Until next time, drink your water, mind your business, meditate, and deuces.
Peace.